A grainy cell phone video. A man's voice calmly saying, "Guys, down the hill." Two eighth-grade girls on a wooden bridge in a quiet Indiana town, never seen alive again. The Delphi murders have become one of the most haunting cases in modern true crime. Two best friends, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, murdered on a hiking trail in broad daylight, with the suspected killer's image and voice captured on a phone. Yet for years there was no arrest. In this video, we're unpacking the case from the ground up. The precise timeline of February 13th, 2017, the evidence the public knows about, the evolving police sketches, and the explosive court filings surrounding the man now accused, Richard Allen. We'll separate confirmed facts from rumors, walk through the documents line by line, and look at where the case stands today. Stay with me, because understanding this story means carefully following every minute of what happened in Delphi. Before we dive into the legal twists and forensic details, let's set the stage. Delphi, Indiana is a town of around 3,000 people, the kind of place where everybody knows everybody, where February is gray, cold, and usually uneventful. Abby and Libby were typical middle schoolers: sports, friends, social media, and a day off school that was supposed to be ordinary. This case is emotionally heavy and still active. Everything here is based on publicly available information: news reports, press conferences, and court filings. Nothing in this video is legal advice, and all individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty. If you're interested in detailed, well-sourced breakdowns of complex cases like this, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss future deep dives. And if you can, watch through to the end, because the later court filings and defense theories completely change how many people view the earlier evidence. Let's walk through the crucial timeline of February 13th, 2017. It was a Monday, but school was out for a scheduled day off. Around early afternoon, Liberty German's older sister dropped Libby and her friend Abigail Williams near the Monon High Bridge trail, an old railroad corridor converted into a walking path on the edge of town. At approximately 2:07 p.m., Libby posted a Snapchat photo of Abby walking along the bridge, a narrow, weathered trestle with missing boards and a significant drop on either side. That image would later be seen around the world. The girls were supposed to be picked up around 3:15 p.m. When family arrived, they weren't at the meeting spot. At first, there was hope they'd just lost track of time. But by late afternoon, concern grew. Relatives and friends began searching the trails and surrounding woods as daylight faded and temperatures dropped, marking the beginning of a frantic community search. By early evening, when calls and messages went unanswered, families knew something was wrong. Around 5:30 p.m., they contacted law enforcement. Carroll County Sheriff's Office, Delphi Police, and volunteers searched the trail system into the night, using flashlights and ATVs, but stopped around midnight due to safety concerns. The next morning, February 14th, the search resumed in force. Emergency responders, volunteers, and K-9 units combed the area near the Monon High Bridge and Deer Creek. Shortly after noon, searchers discovered two bodies in a wooded area off the trail on private property not far from the bridge. Authorities quickly confirmed the worst. The bodies were those of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Police declared it a double homicide, but released almost no details about the condition of the scene. The tight-lipped approach fueled speculation, but investigators insisted withholding specifics was crucial to protect the integrity of the case and future prosecution. One of the most extraordinary aspects of the Delphi case is that evidence appears to have come directly from one of the victims. Investigators revealed that Liberty German had recorded video and audio on her phone of a man walking toward the girls on the bridge. In February 2017, police released a still image taken from that video: a stocky man in a blue jacket, jeans, and a cap, walking with his hands in his pockets along the weathered boards. He became known simply as Bridge Guy. Days later, investigators shared a short audio clip. In a low, authoritative voice, a man is heard saying, "Down the hill." Later, they added the word "guys," believed to be part of the same sequence. The full video and audio have never been publicly released. Law enforcement has only shared select frames and seconds, arguing that holding back details helps them weed out false confessions and verify genuine tips. Soon after the murders, investigators released a composite sketch based on witness accounts. This first sketch depicted an older man, late 40s to 50s, with a hat, facial hair, and a more rugged appearance. For years, that image anchored the public's idea of the suspect. Meanwhile, tips poured in, over 18,000 in the early months, eventually climbing into the tens of thousands. Officers ran down leads on local men, sex offenders, drifters, and online contacts. They executed search warrants, collected DNA samples, and reviewed hours of surveillance footage from homes and businesses around Delphi. Despite the volume of information, there were no public arrests. Investigators insisted they were making progress but shared little. The case was profiled on national outlets and true crime shows, but core details, cause of death, presence of DNA, specific items at the crime scene, remained tightly guarded, leading to a constant tension between transparency and protecting the investigation. In April 2019, more than 2 years after the murders, the case took a startling public turn. At a press conference, Indiana State Police released a second composite sketch, this one showing a much younger man, clean-shaven, with curly hair and no hat. Officials said this sketch now represented their current focus. They also played an extended version of the audio, "Guys, down the hill," with a slightly longer gap between the words. Superintendent Doug Carter delivered an emotional statement, addressing the killer directly and suggesting he might be hiding in plain sight, perhaps even in the room. Investigators asked the public to look closely at behavior changes. A man who suddenly became withdrawn, obsessed with the case, or disposed of clothing and possessions. The shift from an older to a younger-looking suspect sketch shocked many followers of the case and fueled speculation that investigators had either refined their witness accounts or radically changed theories about the offender's profile. From 2019 to 2022, the public side of the Delphi investigation was defined by long stretches of silence punctuated by occasional, sometimes cryptic updates. Additional details emerged through interviews and carefully worded statements. Hints of signatures or unusual aspects at the crime scene, references to possible online communication, and appeals for tips involving the username Anthony Shots, a catfish profile allegedly used to talk to underage girls. Behind the scenes, investigators were presumably retesting evidence, re-interviewing witnesses, and following up on digital leads. The community held vigils every February, keeping Abby and Libby's memories alive. Rumors flourished online, theories about multiple offenders, ritualistic elements, and botched early investigative steps. Very little of that was confirmed. Officially, police said they believed the suspect either lived in Delphi, worked there, or had some consistent connection, a local familiarity with the trail system and private property near the crime scene. On October 28, 2022, news quietly broke that an arrest had been made in connection with the Delphi murders. Days later, officials confirmed 50-year-old Richard Allen of Delphi was charged with 2 counts of murder. Allen was a local CVS pharmacy technician, married with no significant criminal history. He had lived in Delphi for years, seemingly an ordinary member of the community. The revelation stunned residents, particularly because Allen had apparently approached police back in 2017 to say he'd been on the trails the day of the murders. Prosecutors initially sealed the probable cause affidavit, citing concerns about witness safety and the integrity of the investigation. This secrecy only fueled more speculation. Was Allen Bridge Guy? Was there forensic evidence tying him to the scene, or was the case built mainly on circumstantial factors and shifting statements? Within weeks, Allen was transferred to a state facility for his safety as the court process slowly began. When the probable cause affidavit was finally released in November 2022, it provided the first concrete look at why Richard Allen had been arrested. According to the document, Allen admitted to being on the Monon High Bridge trail on February 13, 2017, around the time the girls were there. Witnesses reported seeing a man matching his clothing, blue jacket, jeans, and cap, on and near the bridge. One juvenile witness described a man walking with a gun visible in his waistband. Investigators stated that unspent .40 caliber ammunition found near the bodies was later linked to a Sig Sauer P226 pistol owned by Allen through a process called toolmark or ballistic comparison. The affidavit claims the cartridge case appeared to have been cycled through Allen's gun. The document also referenced video of a vehicle resembling Allen's parked near the trail that day. Combined, prosecutors argued, this supported probable cause that Allen was the man seen in Libby's video. Beyond the timeline and ballistics, the case against Richard Allen, as described in Filings, leans heavily on circumstantial evidence. Witnesses allegedly place a man resembling Allen on the bridge and on the access road. His own statements confirm he was there. The clothing description aligns closely with the bridge guy image. The unspent cartridge case near the bodies is said to match his pistol. Search warrants reportedly recovered additional items from his home, though many details remain sealed or redacted. Still, critical questions remain. Is there DNA directly tying Allen to the scene? Were there fingerprints, fibers, or transfer evidence conclusively identified? How precise is the ballistic comparison, and could it be challenged as subjective? The publicly available documents do not yet outline a complete forensic picture. Instead, they sketch a narrative: local man on the trail, armed, matching the appearance of the suspect, with a firearm allegedly linked to crucial physical evidence at the crime scene. In 2023, the defense team for Richard Allen filed explosive documents outlining an alternative theory that Abby and Libby were killed in a ritualistic manner by unknown members of an alleged Odinist or pagan group. These filings claimed there were symbols and branches arranged at the crime scene, animal hair, and other elements they interpreted as ritual. The defense argued that investigators ignored or downplayed this angle to focus on Allen. They suggested multiple attackers and advanced organized planning. Prosecutors and law enforcement strongly rejected these claims, calling them inaccurate, misleading, and inflammatory. The state said the supposed ritual elements were either misinterpreted or taken out of context, and maintained that evidence points squarely at Allen. Because gag orders and sealed filings limit what can be publicly confirmed, much of this remains contested. The Odinism theory has divided observers. Some see it as creative but speculative defense work. Others worry it could distract from verifiable evidence. Since Allen's arrest, the legal process has been turbulent. There have been changes in defense counsel, disputes over his jail conditions, and intense arguments about what information should remain sealed. Pretrial motions have covered topics like venue change, whether Allen can receive a fair trial in or near Carroll County, admissibility of ballistic evidence, and what, if anything, jurors should hear about alleged ritual elements. The defense has raised concerns about Allen's mental state and treatment in custody. Prosecutors counter that security measures are necessary given the case's notoriety. The court has navigated leaks, media coverage, and passionate public interest. Hearings often generate new filings that drip out more details but also more confusion. As of now, there is no final verdict. Allen maintains his plea of not guilty, and a jury has not yet weighed all the evidence. Until a trial concludes, every claim, from both prosecution and defense, remains an allegation, not a proven fact. Stepping back from the twists and theories, there are a few key points to remember about the Delphi murders. First, at the center of every filing and headline are two real kids, Abby Williams and Liberty German. Any discussion of timelines and evidence has to keep their humanity and their families' ongoing grief in view. Second, the public evidence paints only a partial picture. We know about the phone video, the down the hill audio, the two sketches, the ballistic claim, and Allen's presence on the trail. But many forensic details, witness statements, and lab reports remain sealed or undisclosed. Third, the court process is still unfolding. Defense theories, whether about Odinism, multiple attackers, or investigative mistakes, are arguments, not necessarily established truths. The same goes for the state's narrative until it's tested at trial. Finally, presumption of innocence matters. However you feel about the case, the legal system demands proof beyond a reasonable doubt before anyone is convicted. If you've stayed with this breakdown of the Delphi murders, you know how complex and emotionally heavy this case is. We've walked through the day of the crime, the frantic search, the phone video and audio, the shifting sketches, years of relative silence, the arrest of Richard Allen, the probable cause affidavit, and the contentious court filings and defense theories. As the legal process continues, the most responsible thing we can do is follow verified information, avoid spreading unconfirmed rumors, and remember that Abby and Libby were real people whose families deserve truth and justice, whatever the ultimate verdict may be. If you found this deep dive helpful and want more long-form, evidence-driven true crime coverage, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with others who are trying to understand the Delphi case. Let me know in the comments which documents or aspects you'd like to see broken down next, and stay tuned for future updates as the court record evolves.